What's good? We have a very special guest. We have a popular MMA fighter, also known to be Jake Paul's sparring partner, now boxer. We have Anthony Prettyboy Taylor. How are you, man?
Oh man, I'm good, bro. Just enjoying life, feeling good, and and just really enjoying myself.
Anthony, I want to start off with asking you, how did you get the name Pretty Boy?
Pretty boy is something I came up with. I was young, at the age of 18. I was thinking like I'm gonna be like Floyd, little pretty boy, and it came happened. I got into MMA, and I just still like the name Pretty Boy, so I kept the name, and people have just been calling me Pretty Boy ever since.
So you're also very popularly known to be Jake Paul's sparring partner. I want to go through it in a chronological order of what I've seen online. First, you were an MMA fighter that transitioned to boxing. What made you want to take this transition?
Uh, I I wanted a challenge in my career, so I took this step to strive for greatness for myself, not only for my teammates and my other training partners, but I wanted something that I can do that was going to challenge me overall in the combat sport. Who knows? I might do a kickboxing match. I might do a Muay Thai match. You just never know, or a bare knuckle match. You just never know what a combatant can do in the future of combatant sports.
Yeah, I love that, man. Uh, I also want to get in a little bit into the Jake Paul stuff. First, I've seen how you got in contact with Jake Paul. It's all started before the Ben Askren fight. I
Mhm.
think you know what I'm about to say. There's a little bit of a back and forth, and you asked Jake Paul to spar. BJ Flores contacted you. He said, Anthony, come down to Miami. Let's spar. You guys did your sparring session, but it didn't just end in the ring. There was a lot of back and forth from you and Jake. You said you no, first you said that it was an even spar. You both got a few punches in, but then Jake came out and said that it was one-sided.
And the great Anthony Prettyboy Taylor, a famous internet troll, a guy in the MMA community who is divisive. Can you talk to me a bit about your final sparring session with the great Pretty Boy?
I think he was doing some interviews after the sparring session and was like, it was good and he was better than I expected, and he's fast, and I landed some good shots. No, you didn't. You got your ass beat, my friend.
Why was there this back and forth?
I mean, you're dealing with two alpha men back and forth. On my part, I felt like I should have been more professional about it and just kept it silent and quiet. And Jake said what he had to say. I said what I had to say, but we squashed it. There was no bad blood between us two. It's just sparring. He
Hmm.
says, he says, he says, she says, it'll be a back and forth in the war. Jake is a proven ally to not only me, but other fighters. He's fighting for fighters pay. He's campaigning for women pay to be put into the mix. He's doing amazing things. He's giving a voice for people who don't have a voice or is not allowed to have a voice in certain organizations and or certain sports. So Jake's doing a wonderful job, and me and Jake having that beginning spill, that was more of two dogs, wolves trying to establish dominance, and there's nothing wrong about it. I have nothing against it. Same goes for all my other sparring with other people that I've had in my career. There's nothing personal about that.
So we see you very affiliated in the Jake Paul camp now. What do you think in that first sparring session brought Nakisa and Jake's team to bring you into their camp and fully harness you, co-sign you kind of?
That's a good question. Being part of that camp was definitely worth the while because I had to prove myself. I had to prove myself not only that I'm an MMA fighter, but I also have talents outside the means of MMA, boxing skills. Being Jake's main sparring partner really showed to Nikisa and BJ, like, hey, this man has talent. Let's give him a shot. I've got an opportunity to change my life. I was given to it, and I did what I had to do. I changed my life. I don't want people to always think of me as Jake Paul's sparring partner because I'm the pretty boy. I put myself on a pedestal. I've made myself hot from multiple things, multiple outlets. Not only Jake Paul, but as far as MMA goes, I built a career for myself in MMA. And being with Jake and being with BJ and having to know Nikisa and those three amazing people, it really opened my eyes to a different version of life, of how sports is really done on the business side. I'm grateful that they gave me the opportunity. Fortunately, I didn't capitalize on the last two fights. I can sit back and complain about it, or I can just move forward and move on with myself and get better. So those two fights are in the past. I sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Boxing is boxing. My expertise is MMA. I'm still on a 5-fight win streak in MMA. I haven't lost since 2018. That's about 4 years now. So that record is still held. And I'm looking to continue my MMA career in the future.
I wanted to go a little further into it as well, because there's a lot of old heads or boxing purists, as people say, that like to discredit these YouTuber boxers. I don't know if you want to consider Jake as a YouTuber boxer because he is a celebrity. So he's always going to be in that kind of category, if you know what I mean. They like to discredit these guys. Or what made you want to fully get in and be affiliated in this kind of space? Because were you going to feel like you would get devalued if you were going to hang out with Jake?
No, not at all. If it makes dollars, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to come. Everybody wants to take a chance. You get MMA fighters in the UFC who are probably making $10,000. You get me, who's getting the opportunity making more than that. A lot of people would take the opportunity, not just me, but other people too. And I capitalized on those opportunities that I had. I can't speak for anybody else because I don't know their situation, but I can only speak on mine because I put myself in a position. Jake helped me elevate my position, and YouTube boxing is YouTube boxing. It's like if you step in the ring professional, if this is a professional bout, you're a boxer. You're fighting professionally. You're a boxer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a YouTuber or you're an electrician or a police officer. You still step in that professional ring or cage. You are a mixed martial artist or a artist of certain skill sets. So I don't discredit YouTube boxing because those guys build their followings. You get a guy like Jake Paul who has 20 million subscribers on YouTube, 20 million followers on YouTube, on Instagram. You can't fault him for bringing those followers from both platforms to the world of boxing. He's built his own brand. He's built those followers. And you can't get mad that these followers spend money on pay-per-view because they're loyal Jake Paul fans. Same thing will go to YouTube. They're finding ways to make money. Hey, you fight on this card. We have your fans order a pay-per-view and you make money off it. Why not? It's genius. It's brilliant. I say go for it. I don't have a problem with YouTubers fighting and taking the beginning route of boxing. There's no issue about it. They don't disrespect fighters. They're not disrespecting the sport. You know, they're learning about the sport. Why disrespect the sport if you want to do the sport? They're learning. So no discredit to any YouTuber. I say go for it. I have nothing but the utmost respect for anybody who steps in that cage and ring.
Yeah, so I see you credit Jake a lot for his life outside of the ring as well. His
Mhm.
fight, his stand up for fighter pay, him going after Dana White and all that. Why is Jake like that? Why is he such an advocate for fighter pay? I know that in the last Tommy Fury, no, yeah, the one where you were on the undercard fighting Tommy Fury, he
Mhm.
he took money out of his own purse and put it and gave it to the fighter's undercard. I've heard. Why is Jake like that?
He knows fight is worth. You have to know your worth. Don't let anybody else tell your worth. You know your worth. If Jake is like, hey, I can give somebody this X amount of money to help change his life, so be it. Why not? You put that investment in, you're going to get it back 10 times. So Jake has spoke and became an advocate on fighters pay because he's right. You're risking your life inside of there. You get Canelo Alvarez, who make about 50 to 100 million a year fighting. Even if he made $50 million, that's more than everybody on the UFC roster ever made in their careers combined. Think about it. Canelo in one fight makes more money than any UFC fighter combined put together in their whole in UFC career. Combine every single salary of every UFC fighter in the UFC history. Canelo makes more than all of them put together. I mean, bro, we can do history of MMA. Ever since the beginning of UFC 1 to UFC, whatever we are, Canelo's made more money off one fight than all those fighters in the past, from Pride to everything combined right now. And he's making about 60 million a fight. Think about that. One man fights once a year and he's made more money than the history of fighters ever being paid out in the UFC. So Jake knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. You know, I can't speak on a lot of the things in the UFC because that's someday where I want to fight and be employed. So I really can't speak my mind to a certain extent, but I will speak my mind for fighter pay, you know, without having to point the blame at certain people.
Hmm. So why do you think it's like this in the UFC? As you said, that it's the Canelo makes more money than the entire roster. Obviously, without a few exceptions like Conor, Khabib, and some other fighters.
Even if Conor did, think about it. Let's say Conor's making dollars a fight. He's probably fought 5 times in the last 7 years, right? That's still not more than what Canelo's making. It's still going to triple everything.
Yeah.
Conor's not pulling in $10 million a fight. He's probably pulling in 3 to 5.
Mhm.
It's still, you even if you give him 3 to 5, Khabib's only making $1 million a fight. That's still $47 million behind Canelo. You know, Francis Ngannou making 600,000. That's only a fraction of what Canelo making. So those guys making that much money, you also have to think about this: branding and marketing yourself. You can't expect the UFC or Bellator or PFL to brand you. You have to want to brand your own self and market yourself. They're here to contract you to fight. If it's pay-per-view and stuff, great. We're going to help do some promotion, but they give you a contract, you sign, you fight. It's your job to promote yourself and promote yourself as a fighter and build your fan base. You build your fan base, you make more money. Simple.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. There's definitely mistreat of fighters nowadays. Even when the UFC is attached to boxing, like let's go back to the Mayweather and Conor fight. When Conor fought, his cut was 250 million, but the UFC and Conor went 50-50. Do you think that's a fair split for the UFC to take 50% of Conor's paycheck?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're in their organization. You're agreeing to their terms. They're allowing you to fight outside the UFC. You're agreeing to them your terms. If you can't agree to their terms, then don't fight. It's fair. You signed a contract, oblige to your contract. It'd be messed up if they say, "Oh no, you can't do it," but he didn't. He fought. He signed a deal. He signed on that dotted line where they say, "Hey, we take 50-50." He's made his money. He shouldn't be mad about it. He's 150 million, he's 125 million richer.
Yeah.
But still, Canelo makes more than that in 1 year.
Anthony, I before I interview you, I did a lot of research, about your backstory. You really inspired me, a teenager, 16-year-old kid. You inspired me because I saw where you came from and what you became. Uh, I don't know if this is a sensitive topic to you, but you talked about it in Julia Rose's podcast. You said, I was a stripper and I was homeless at a time. And then once I started fighting, my life changed. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, we all have a little dark. We all have a little dark place in our life. It's not about it's about how you overcome it. How did you go about it? A lot of people say, "Hey, Anthony, how did you overcome?" I tell them, "This is what I've been through. This is how I went about it, and this is how I overcame everything." Being in that time of the mindset, I wasn't ready to mature as a fighter, as a person. Having to survive, I had to find something to do to survive. And that definitely made me a strong individual because of what I went through and the upbringing that I had and the choices that I made. A lot of those choices that I made led me to me being homeless, dancing. Those choices were my choices, not my family's, not my friends. Those are my choices. So I decided to make the choice of changing my life, making myself a successful person in my way, and really obtaining those goals that I set for myself. So I tell a lot of people who have been in my place or still is in my place of being homeless, nowhere to go, it only gets easier as time goes. You give up. That's rock bottom. You can't go further than rock bottom. It's like this, bam. You can't even go further than this. This is the lowest you can go. Everything you do after that, you elevate yourself up. So I say thinking positively will improve any situation. Stay humble, stay honest, and just be a good person to other people. When you do good things for other people, people do things for you. Expect the unexpected.
Man, as I analyze your career, you have balls of steel, you could say, because you're not scared. Like you jump straight into the deep end, bro. You jump straight into the deep end. In MMA, your second or third fight, I believe, it was against Conor McGregor's teammate in Ireland. I mean, who does that? Nobody's doing that. What made you want to jump straight into the deep end and fight these warriors?
I think a lot of it was my maturity at the time. I believe I wasn't ready, but I felt like I was able to take the challenge. And that fight that I took and lost, it changed me as a person, as a fighter overall. Without that fight, I wouldn't be the fighter who I am now. It's not about me being scared or being an alpha male or being a tough fighter. It was all about pride. thankful. Who am I? Trying to find myself, who I am as a fighter. And that's important. You got to know your worth as a fighter. You got to understand who you are. What are you as a fighter? And when you don't acknowledge those skill sets and that mindset, you're not going to really make it further in your MMA career. So jumping earlier into those fights, it was a blessing, but it was also a curse because I didn't really learn anything, but I gained a big advantage of notoriety and also experience of my losses.
It also gave you a lot of exposure. The fight is now on 1.5 million views. I mean, everybody could say anything, but you're really in the ring. You're putting yourself on the line, your body on the line. Even Amir Khan, he lost his fight. He talked about these fighters are modern day gladiators. If they lose a fight, you shouldn't be criticizing them because they're putting their lives on the line. They have to fight for a living. Do you agree with Amir Khan on this?
Absolutely. I'm a fan of Amir Khan. I told myself I want to fight him before he retired. Let's fight. I agree 100% Amir Khan is going through. And as a fellow fighter, I understand what it feels to win. And I also know what it feels to taste defeat on both ends. You just have to be positive on both ends, win or lose or draw. Stay positive. Because when you do those things, people can't touch you. They can't touch your energy level. It's impossible. When you're a positive person, they can't even come in your bubble.
Yeah, man. Even coming after your 2 losses, which was very unfortunate because I'm a fan of yours. I want to see you do good. Let's talk about your next up and coming fight. I talked to Deenthegreat, so I told you if you want to take your side on the fight and tell the fans any insight that you want to give. What's happening with Deenthegreat?
Well, Dean is really waiting on Dean. It's just not going to happen. Dean's haven't been responsive. I've heard Happy Punch wanted to make the fight happen, but nothing happened on his end. No one's called me. No one's reached out to me. No one's done nothing. So I'm here waiting on a contract. Dean doesn't want to talk about things, and he just definitely doesn't want to do anything.
So what do you think about these fighters calling out people when they have no intention of signing the dotted line?
I let them talk. Gotta let these people talk. Unless they sign that contract or a contract's in, don't talk about it. Be about it. Dean hasn't shown no guts. He's trying to back out this fight, and he's signing a. He doesn't. He's trying to cash a check that he can't cash. I reach out to Fousey every time, every day. I reach out to Dean, manager, every day. Oh, we're waiting. We're waiting. How long are you going to wait? Because I don't know who you are. Do you want to fight me? How long I got to wait? And I'm trying to figure this out. Dean said he wants to fight, but he don't want to fight. He's being a scary kid, and he knows he's going to get hurt fighting me.
And even looking at the tail of the tape, kind of, you see the stat differences. You're a veteran. This guy, he fights guys on the street, like garbage men on the street. Like, you're 200 pounds. He's like 100 pounds. He's 5'2". Like, how is this gonna work? You know, how is this weight?
I think you can make it an expedition match. Making an expedition match can make that happen. Definitely, because I mean, look at Floyd when he was like 150 and he fought Logan, who was like 190. You know, so it can work. If it's an exhibition match, absolutely it can work. I want to make it an exhibition match, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I'd say you're the A side because you've been in the ring. You have the experience. You've done the big shows. You've been on the big cards. And I seen the live stream, and when Fousey's like, oh, come down to 150, come down to 150. Like, what do you think of Fousey saying these outrageous numbers? Because how are you gonna go from 200 to 150?
I mean, I can do it. Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. I'll make it happen. And that's all I need to know. Send the contract, send the money. Let's go. I don't want people talking about this and that. Show me the money. I'm all about if you really want to fight, send the contract, send out money or offer. Let's go. I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I want to also talk about the backlash of Jake's last fight. Jake's known to be the pay-per-view draw, the social don, but when the numbers came out for the pay-per-view, they're a little disappointing for what Jake regularly does.
Well, a lot of people is disappointed because they wanted to see him fight Tommy Fury. A lot of people felt like they didn't want to see Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. I don't blame a lot of people. Tommy Fury fooled a lot of people. That thinking he was going to fight and he backs out a week out. That stuff right there hurts people pockets, hurts people pride. Like, hey, we wanted to see a boxer fight a YouTuber or what that they say, but a boxer versus a boxer. They hurted it people's pride, and people felt like they didn't feel like watching Tyron versus Jake too.
What went wrong when you fought Tommy? Was it the mind games he was playing? Why didn't you come out on top?
No, he just had a better night. And no excuses on that. He just had a better night. He outclassed me professionally, outclassed me. And that was it. He was just on his A game. I wasn't on my A game that night. He did a better job at executing his game plan. I thought I had a game plan, and he just overdid his, and he got the win. I'm not going to make an excuse about it, but he definitely did his game plan and won.
How do you think the Jake versus Tommy fight would go?
Jake, TKO.
TKO?
Yeah.
I seen in a few other podcasts, you said when you sparred Jake, he doesn't have a lot of power. So do you still stick by that statement?
I was just, how do you say, I was gassing or, trolling. Jake has power. You guys see it.
Yeah. Oh, so you're just trolling him to ruffle some feathers.
Exactly. Ruffle feathers and troll.
Yeah, man. It was a really good time having you on. I want to see you crush it. Fuck up Dean the Great. Anthony, I want to see you succeed. Dean the Great's going down if he signs the contract. Can we expect to see you in the MMA ring?
Who knows in the future? Who really knows? You just never know what's going to happen.
Great.
Hanging off Parkway. How the fuck we on Park South? It's a quarter mile to my driveway. Got money coming in 5 ways. I ain't slept in like 5 days. I just landed in the UK. Had to switch to rich for the time change.